Most people think early retirement is about one giant number, but the real difference between someone who retires at 55 and someone who works until 70 may be much quieter than that. It may be hiding in who still owns the next paycheck. Because a paycheck can have owners before it even arrives. The mortgage gets a hand on it, the car payment gets a hand, the credit card balance gets a hand, health coverage gets a hand, and if enough hands are still there at 55, retirement isn't just a dream, it's a math problem with a deadline. Here's the part that makes this story uncomfortable. Workers in the 2026 Retirement Confidence Survey expected to retire at a median age of 65. Retirees reported an actual median retirement age of 62, but 39% of workers said they expected to retire at 70 or later, or never retire at all. Among retirees, only 10% actually did. So this isn't a simple story where everyone chooses a date, calmly saves toward it, and walks away exactly on schedule. 46% of retirees said they retired earlier than planned. The reasons split in different directions: health or disability, company changes, and in some cases, being able to afford it earlier. That's the open loop. Two people can reach their 50s with similar-looking careers and completely different amounts of freedom. One can stop working at 55, another can still need work at 70, and the separator isn't always genius, luck, or a secret investing trick. To make the math easier, keep two fictional workers in mind: Dana and Rob. Same age, similar income, different claim stacks. Dana's paycheck has fewer owners by 55. Rob's paycheck still has housing, debt, and health coverage pressing on it. The first reveal is this: retiring at 55 means solving a bridge before the normal retirement system is ready for you. Age 55 to age 70 is 15 years. That's 180 monthly checks. Medicare generally starts around 65, so age 55 to 65 is still 120 months of health coverage bridge. Social Security retirement benefits can start as early as 62, but for people born in 1960 or later, full retirement age is 67. Delayed credits stop at 70. That means 55 isn't just a little early, it's before several gates open. For a full retirement age 67 example, Social Security at 62 is 70% of the full benefit. At 67, it's 100%. At 70, delayed credits can take the example to 124%. That's not a recommendation about when anyone should claim, it's just the shape of the gate. And the account gates matter too. Early retirement money isn't all equally easy to reach. The IRS says early distributions before age 59.5 generally face an additional 10% tax unless an exception applies. One exception can apply to certain qualified plans when someone separates from service during or after the year they reach 55, but rules differ by account type and situation. This is not tax advice. The point is simpler: at 55, access itself can be part of the bridge. So when someone says they retired at 55, the hidden question is not just how much did they save, it's which doors were already open. This is one reason the giant number story can mislead. Two people can both have money saved, but one has spendable cash, one has a qualified plan, one has home equity, one has an account with penalties, and one has a job that provides health insurance. On paper, those can all look like resources. In a 55 to 70 bridge, they don't all behave the same. The bridge cares about timing. It cares about access. It cares about whether the dollar can pay June's bill or only make the future balance look better. Now look at the separator most people miss: access to a savings machine. In the retirement survey, workers with any retirement plan were far more likely to report saving. 79% of workers with a plan said they had saved for retirement, compared with 16% of workers with no plan. 73% with a plan were currently saving, compared with 11% without one. That doesn't prove one person is better than another. It shows how the system changes the default. If money leaves the paycheck before it can be spent, the future gets paid first. If there's no plan, no match, no automatic path, and no extra room, the future has to wait in line behind every current bill. This is where Dana and Rob start to separate. Dana's paycheck sends money to retirement before she sees it. Rob's paycheck has to survive the month first. After a few years, that difference doesn't feel dramatic. After 20 or 30 years, it's not just a habit, it's a bridge. And the savings gap shows up clearly. Among workers who reported savings and investments outside the primary home, 35% had less than $25,000. That includes 22% with less than $1,000. At the other end, 35% had $250,000 or more. Same country, same retirement conversation, completely different bridges. The Fed's survey of consumer finance's public extract tells a similar story near the finish line. Among families aged 55 to 64, about 57% had retirement accounts, about 43% didn't. Among account holders, the median retirement account balance was about $181,000. Across all families in that age group, the median was about $16,600. That's not enough information to judge anyone. It's enough to see why the claim stack matters. If Dana has a funded bridge and Rob doesn't, the same birthday can mean very different choices. Put the account holder median next to the sample $4,000 monthly bridge. Without counting returns, taxes, benefits, or spending changes, $181,000 covers about 45 months at $4,000 a month. The $16,600 median across all families covers about 4 months. Those are rough flashlight numbers, not advice, but they explain why one person hears age 55 as possible and another hears it as a wall. Now add the claims. Near retirement age, debt doesn't politely disappear. In the Fed extract, among families age 55 to 64, about 77.2% had some debt, about 48.4% had mortgage or HELOC debt, about 44.3% carried a credit card balance, about 34.2% had vehicle installment debt. Again, debt doesn't automatically block retirement. A low-rate mortgage, a manageable payment, and strong assets can coexist, but debt is still a claim. It gets a hand on the paycheck before freedom does. The balance numbers are useful visually, but don't overread them. Balances aren't the same as monthly payments. Still, they show why Rob's next paycheck may already be crowded. A mortgage balance, a vehicle loan, and a card balance don't have to be catastrophic to keep work feeling necessary. Monthly claims can matter more than total balances in the moment. A family doesn't pay retirement with net worth printed on a statement. It pays retirement with cash flow that arrives at the right time. If housing, vehicle, and card payments are still active, the question becomes less glamorous but more useful. How much of the next check is already spoken for before food, health coverage, taxes, and emergencies? This is the part people often experience as shame. They hear about someone retiring early and assume the other person must be smarter, but a lot of the gap is boring and structural. Who had a plan at work? Who had a match? Who got sick? Who got laid off? Who had to carry debt through the high-cost years? Who had housing paid down before 55? Even the retirement date itself may be less chosen than it looks. Remember, 46% of retirees said they retired earlier than planned. Sometimes early retirement is freedom. Sometimes it's a health shock. Sometimes it's a company change. Sometimes it's both a dream and a forced adjustment wearing the same label. Now bring back the 180 checks. This is the midpoint turn. Stop asking only, how much did they save? Ask, how many months did they remove from the paycheck claim stack before work stopped? If Dana retires at 55, she has to cover the bridge. If Rob works until 70, his job may be covering part of that bridge for him. Work becomes the funding source for the months that assets, lower bills, health coverage, or other income don't cover. That's why a simple sample number helps. If a household needs $4,000 a month and wants to cover 180 months, that's $720,000 before investment returns, taxes, inflation, Social Security, spending changes, or any other moving part. That $720,000 is not the number. Please don't treat it as anyone's target. It's just a flashlight. It shows why age 55 is not one decision. It's 180 monthly decisions compressed into one sentence. And then health coverage puts its own clock on the screen. From 55 to Medicare at about 65 is 120 months. In the retirement survey, 46% of workers said they had calculated likely health expenses in retirement. Among retirees working for pay, 17% cited keeping health insurance or benefits as a reason. That's not a side issue. For a 55-year-old, health coverage can be one of the biggest hands on the paycheck. If Dana has a bridge, work gets easier to leave. If Rob needs the job for coverage, the job is not just income, it's protection. Now look at retirement income expectations. Workers often expect more income sources than retirees actually use. The retirement survey showed 75% of workers expecting work for pay as a retirement income source, compared with 27% of retirees using it. 83% of workers expected a workplace retirement plan, compared with 45% of retirees. 71% expected an IRA, compared with 54% of retirees. Social Security was the one source both groups named heavily, 89% of workers and 92% of retirees. That comparison is the quiet warning label. A plan on paper can have more pieces than retirement in real life. Work for pay may still be there because people want purpose, but it may also be there because one piece of the bridge never showed up. The broader household data adds pressure in the background. In the Fed's household survey, only 35% of non-retirees thought their retirement savings were on track. 63% of adults could cover a $400 emergency with cash or equivalent. 60% said price changes made their finances worse. Those aren't all age 55 numbers, so they shouldn't be used as if those are age 55 measures, but they do explain the atmosphere. A bridge is hard to build when the current month keeps asking for more material. That background pressure changes how people think about risk. If the current month already feels fragile, locking up money for the future can feel responsible and scary at the same time. Paying down debt can feel good and too slow. Keeping cash can feel safe and behind. The bridge is not built in a spreadsheet world. It's built while the real month keeps interrupting. This is why the early retirement story can be both inspiring and misleading. The inspiring version says, look, it's possible. The misleading version says, if you didn't do it, you must have failed. The truth is more useful. Retiring at 55 usually means some combination of 4 things happened early enough. First, assets or income can replace work. Second, fixed bills are low enough that the replacement doesn't have to be enormous. Third, health coverage has a bridge before Medicare. Fourth, debt isn't taking so much of the monthly check that work has to keep restarting the clock. Notice what isn't on that list: being a better person. Dana may have made good choices. She may also have had a workplace plan, stable health, manageable housing, and fewer shocks. Rob may have made good choices too, and still reached 55 with more claims attached to the paycheck. That's the emotional point. The person who retires at 55 is not always the person who made the most. Often, it's the person whose next paycheck had the fewest owners. So here's the useful framework. Start with work replacing income. That could be retirement accounts, pensions, taxable investments, rental income, part-time work, or anything else that can actually pay the month without pretending locked money is grocery money. Then add investable assets, not as a magic pile, but as a bridge that has to survive time, taxes, inflation, bad markets, and withdrawals. Then add lower fixed bills. A paid-down mortgage, no car payment, lower debt, or smaller recurring obligations can shrink the bridge more quietly than a bigger headline number. This is why the quiet moves matter. A smaller payment can be as powerful as a bigger account because it reduces every month in the bridge. If Dana needs $3,000 a month and Rob needs $4,000, Dana's 180-month bridge is $540,000 before adjustments. Rob's is $720,000. Same 180 months. Different claim stack. Different amount of work the assets have to do. Then subtract the claims: debt claims, housing claims, health coverage claims, family and caregiving claims when they exist, unavoidable monthly costs. The question is not whether those claims are morally good or bad. The question is whether they still require a paycheck. That's the freedom gap. Ask 4 questions. What income could replace work? What bills still require work? What health bridge is missing? And how long is the gap? If the answers cover 180 months, work becomes more optional. If the answers only cover a few months, work keeps its hand on the calendar. Use that framework before the pressure is urgent: income, bills, health bridge, and gap length. It won't make every answer easy, but it makes the hidden claims visible. That's why this topic matters even if you're nowhere near 55. The separation doesn't usually happen at the retirement party. It happens years earlier, inside ordinary paychecks. One automatic contribution, one debt that gets paid off, one fixed bill that doesn't grow, one health bridge that gets planned, one extra hand removed from the next paycheck. And the point is not to shame anyone who works until 70. Some people love their work. Some people choose to stay. Some people get forced by costs, health, job changes, family needs, or bad timing. The fair lesson is not retire early or you failed. The fair lesson is to notice who owns the paycheck before you need it back. Because the person who retires at 55 is not always the person who made the most. Often, it's the person whose next paycheck had the fewest owners. If this helped you see retirement timing a little differently, subscribe for more clear visual money stories. The goal is not to make money feel like a lecture. It's to make the hidden math easier to see before it makes choices for you. Thanks.